Hello and hello. Welcome back to the Undisputed Champ YouTube boxing channel. If you like the videos I've already put out, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, and please share the videos. Guys, share this share my other videos. We are back with something I like to call most crushing losses. So what I'm about to talk about, these aren't losses where people have been blown out or someone was the heavy favourite and they just took somebody out. These are losses that I really wanted the other guy to win. He's come up short, and because I was so blinded by my love for the other fighter and by me wanting that other fighter to win, it felt like a low blow on me, like a deep crunching body shot on me. And it made me say, I can't stop. I have to stop picking with my heart. I can't keep picking with my heart. I have to pick with my brain. So these are losses that rationally I definitely should have saw coming, but because of, you could say, slight fanboyism for the fighter, I didn't. I've got 5 losses to talk about, and they're in no particular order, but let's just get straight into it. So number 1, we have the Vasily Lomachenko fight versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. I don't know if it's Rigondeaux or Rigondeaux, but I'm going to call him Rigondeaux. Here we have 2 boxers that won 2 Olympic gold medals. Like that is already quality stuff. And this is what built up the fight. We were having 2 boxers that won 2 Olympic gold medals in the amateurs coming up against each other. That's never been done before. That's amazing work. I think Guillermo won his gold medals at the Sydney Olympics and the Athens Olympics, and then Lomachenko won his gold medals at Beijing and then London. So we've already got 2 high quality operators. And me personally, I was following Rigo's career after the Donaire fight, and in the Donaire fight, Rigo was kind of the underdog. People were sleeping on Rigo. He was coming up against Nonito Donaire. Nonito Donaire was about number 3 in the pound for pound rankings, smashing everyone, had a left hook from hell. I remember the left hook that he landed on Victor Chinian. Oh my, that's one of the best knockouts you'll ever see. And then Rigo went in there and just boxed Donaire's ears off. And then Rigo was carrying great power in his left hand for such a small guy, and he was breaking orbital bones. So he broke, I think he broke Donaire's orbital bone anyway. He had Donaire looking crazy in those last couple of rounds, and Donaire just had to put his left hand up against his eye just to shield it for the rest of the fight because of the bombs that Rigo has landed on him. So after that fight, I was like, okay, not only is he a great amateur, he's a great professional as well. And I was super behind Rigo, man. Like I was like a Cuban fighter. He's already had to go through hardship. He's won 2 Olympic gold medals. He's come into the pros. He's won world titles early. He's already beat a number 3 pound for pounder. Sky's the limit for this guy. He can do anything. There's nothing he can't do in the sport. There were criticisms that his style was a bit boring, but I was brushing all of that. I was like, no, the style's not boring. The guy's breaking orbital bones, man. What more do we want, guy? What more do we want, really? I think he fought a British guy called Jazza Dickens and then smashed his orbital bone in 2 rounds as well. So the guy, and then there was a fight he fought against a Japanese fighter called Amagasa, and he had him look like an alien by the end of the fight. Like he was smashing his face in 2. So yeah, man, I was fully on the Rigo train. And then we come up to Lomachenko. Lomachenko was being pushed by Top Rank. Lomachenko also 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Lomachenko won a world title in his 3rd ever fight. He had his first fight, his second fight, he fought for a world title, came up short, but then in his 3rd fight, picked up the world title belt against another another really good fighter in Gary Russell Jr. And for some reason, I was just brushing everything Lomachenko was doing, and I was thinking, you know what, when this fight got announced, Rigo still got it. The major red flag that pretty much gave Rigo no chance, that I ignored because I was so on board the Rigondeaux train, was the weight. Rigondeaux fights at super bantamweight. Lomachenko started his career at featherweight and then moved up to super featherweight. The fight was at super featherweight. That means Rigo had to jump up 2 weight classes to take the fight. Rigo was already a small super bantamweight. So you already had a small super bantamweight jumping up 2 weight classes to fight at super feather against someone who started his career at feather, yeah, but was too big for feather. So probably is a natural super featherweight. Boy, I ignored all of that. In the weigh-ins, Rigo was a couple of pounds under the weight limit. That's another super. Like when you come in a couple of pounds under, you're thinking, oh gosh. This is like the small, tiny weights as well. So it's not like a heavyweight or even cruiserweight where you can come in a few pounds over. No one's batting an eyelid. But at super feather, you're coming in a couple pounds under. That means you're tiny for the weight, absolutely tiny. And in the ring, Lomachenko just looked like Rigo's big brother in there, just towering over, bigger than him, bigger shoulders, broader, more thick set, and I was just like, oh no. But still, I had faith. I thought, Rigo's got crazy power for such a small man, and he's gonna employ this boxing skills, and he's gonna compete with Lomachenko, and he's gonna have Lomachenko running once he starts landing the left hands. But that's not how it played out. That's not how it played out at all. Had Lomachenko just dominated him. Lomachenko looked like he had faster hands, looked like he had better footwork in there, was just beating him up, was huge in comparison to Rigo in the fight. And Rigo committed the cardinal sin of all boxers and he quit in the corner. I was gutted. Guys, I was absolutely gutted. I couldn't believe it. My guy, Rigo, I've been riding for him and he chucked in that towel against Lomachenko. And looking back on the fight, I should have seen the red flags with the weight. I should have said it take the weight aside, it's still 50-50 because both are two-time Olympic gold medalists, both are super highly skilled, and I ignored all of that and just went with my heart. And that was one of the fights where I said, that's it. Pick them in my head from now on. I can't have this anymore. I can't have these feelings anymore where I really ride for a fighter and it's not only the fact they got beat up, it's the fact he quit. I was just like, oh man, Rigo. So yeah, that's number one on the list. Number two on the list, we have the Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Ricky Hatton fight. This was probably, and I talk about it in my first ever video on this channel, so you can go back to that video and hear a bit about me talk about it too. And this was the first fight that I vividly remember by myself, no influence from parents or cousins or friends or family, by myself that I was into. I remember the build-up. Everybody was talking about this fight. Everybody was, and I'm based in Britain, so everybody was picking Hatton. Everyone was saying that Hatton had a big chance to take out Mayweather. Mayweather came over, and it was kind of the first time I was really seeing Mayweather up close, and he was brash, flashy, a bit obnoxious. I remember he came to the press conference. Ricky Hatton's a big Man City fan. He came to Manchester United top to the press conference. He probably doesn't even follow football like that, but somebody said this will antagonise the fans, and that's exactly what he did. Super flashy. I even hear the story that I think it was Mayweather and Hatton are in private jets, and this is when they were doing the press conference in America. And I think they're flying from LA to New York or the other way around, and Hatton is behind Mayweather in the jet, and Mayweather just wants to be in Hatton's head and get ahead of him so much. He asked his pilot, overtake that jet. So he got his pilot to overtake Hatton's jet mid-air, so they would land first and he'd have the edge. And so Mayweather was just doing all kinds of things, and I was just thinking, who's this brash American, man? Hey, Hatton, do your work, man. Get him out of there, man. I'm backing you, I'm riding with you, and yeah, get him out of there. I remember it was the first pay-per-view that I convinced like people in my household to buy. So got the pay-per-view. I'm up late because it was in America. I was in Las Vegas, and I'm there, and I'm like, yes, let's go, Hatton, you got this. You're like a British Mexican. You're going to destroy his body, and you're going to take this back, and it's going to be a great win. And then I can hear the crowd like through my TV chanting Ricky Hatton's name, and I'm thinking, yes, this is it. Hatton's got this. Fight starts, first round. Hatton's looking active. He's looking good in there. He's getting a bit off. Mayweather's just trying to control him. As the rounds go by, it's sort of that way that the fight's going. Hatton trying to get off, Mayweather kind of holding, and then the referee just splitting it. Kind of warning Hatton a little bit too much, I think, stopping a little bit of his inside work. But anyway, the referee splitting it, and it was Hatton just trying to get off, Mayweather holding. And then as the fight grew on, Mayweather started to use his jab now. And I'm like, okay. Didn't really know much about how punches was supposed to land in boxing back then, but I'm seeing Mayweather jabbing Ricky Hatton's head. I'm like, okay, cool. still holding a bit. As the fight goes on, right hands start coming in. Hatton's not really landing anything flush, just bum rushing and getting held and getting separated, and then meeting a jab and then meeting the right hand. I'm like, okay. Fight's going on, it's getting sort of closer to the late rounds, and Hatton's now tired. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, Hatton, you're supposed to be winning this fight, man. I've been chatting you up to everyone I know. You're supposed to be winning this fight. And Hatton's looking tired in there. And then Mayweather introduced me to boxing at the highest level and caught Hatton with a lovely check left hook. Hatton said bounces off the turnbuckle, and I'm like, what is going on here? Bounces off the turnbuckle and lands flat on the floor. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Ricky, what is happening? What is going on here? Me just watching that fight, staying up all night to watch this pay-per-view and just seeing Mayweather slowly build into the fight, take over the fight, and now bouncing your head off turnbuckles. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, guys. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And yeah, that fight, it didn't hurt me anywhere near as much as the Rigo Lomachenko fight, but it definitely woke me up to, just because you want a guy to win doesn't mean he's going to win. It woke me up to that. It doesn't mean he's going to win at all. You need to be analysing these things before you start giving guys that winning props, because, yeah, what you want to happen doesn't always happen. On to number 3. Now, this fight between these two fighters, boy, we have Amir Khan versus Bradis Prescott. So a backstory about Amir Khan. Amir Khan went to the Athens Olympics, and he was Team GB's sole representative in boxing. For some reason, Olympic boxing in Britain wasn't getting much funding. The fighters that were coming through weren't winning any tournaments or qualifying for the Olympics, but Amir Khan managed to get there. And I know we give a lot of props to people like AJ, Luke Campbell, for James DeGale for helping to revive British boxing on the amateur and Olympic scene. But really and truly, the major props has to go to Amir Khan, because Amir Khan went to that Olympics on his own, sole British fighter, and he took home a silver medal, equipped himself excellently, so super fast hands, and he, off that silver medal, British boxing just boosted and ran away with it. It started to get more funding because they could see, okay, we can get medals here. If we concentrate on it, we can get medals. They got more funding. As more funding came in, better fighters started to churn out. As better fighters started to churn out, then we have James DeGale winning the gold medal at Beijing. Then we have London 2012. We have AJ winning gold medal. We have Luke Campbell winning gold medal. We have Anthony Ogogo winning bronze medals. We have people starting to pick up those medals, and that was excellent for British boxing. So Amir Khan, well done, because on that Olympic amateur scene, you really brought boxing back. And then Amir Khan was like a darling. He was like a British darling. And I used to love Amir Khan's fights because he has super fast. He has sonic hands. They're so fast. They're so rapid. And he'd throw combinations. He'd get involved. And on his come up, he was on ITV, so all his fights were easy to watch. I used to love watching Amir Khan. And then I ignored the signs about Amir Khan's chin. He got dropped twice on his way up against people who pretty much journeymen. But we all ignored it. Well, I ignored it anyway because he was putting on dazzling performances, and then the Bradis Prescott fight came. So Frank Warren was Amir Khan's promoter at the time, and Frank was begging Amir not to take this fight. He was doing everything he could to stop Amir Khan taking his fight. Don't take this fight. Do not take this fight. You're not ready. Bradis had I think he had like a 20-0 record back then with 19 KOs or something. So he had a ridiculously high KO record, and not many people had seen his fights as well. So Frank was very scared of the fight, and even Amir Khan's trainer at the time, I think it was I forgot the guy's first name, but he comes from the Oliver gym, something Oliver, and he was telling Amir Khan, don't take this fight. And then Amir Khan dropped him as a trainer, brought in new guys because Amir Khan was desperate to take this fight. And when I was following Amir Khan, I didn't know that I didn't see him losing the fight. I didn't know that Prescott was as dangerous as he was being, as other people had said. But I just thought Amir Khan's going to go in there, he's going to flash the super fast hand speed, and he's going to get rid of this guy. Easy work. Boy, was I wrong. Amir Khan went in there, first round, okay, feeling out. Second round, feeling out. Or maybe even he got to the third round, but either the second or the third round, Bradis Prescott lands a bomb on Amir Khan's chin. That's all she wrote, guys. Amir Khan, out of here. You're out of here. And yeah, that was when my eyes fully woke up to Amir Khan has a chin problem. He would never admit it, but he's got a weak chin. And it's just such a shame because the guy's so highly skilled elsewhere, but he has a weak chin. And I was, again, this is another fight like the Rigo Lomachenko fight. I was gutted for Amir Khan, man. I was gutted personally as well because he was one of my favourite fighters because of the hand speed and the willingness to get in there and really put it all on the line and get in the trenches while he fought. But the chin just didn't want to hold up. And it is what it is sometimes. Like Vladimir Klitschko had a weak chin, and and he's going to go down as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So you can fight with a weak chin. You just have to protect it. But Amir Khan, he loves to fight, and he didn't want to protect that chin. Out of here. So yeah, that's another fight where I should have seen the writing on the wall, to be honest, because Amir Khan's getting dropped by Journeyman in the UK. But again, I ignored the writing on the wall, went with my heart, and got hurt again. Next on the list, doing this number 4, but doing this countdown is like going back into my archives in my brain and just trying to remember how I feel, and you're just like, damn, after these losses, I was, hey, boy. Anyways, number 4 on the list, we have Kell Special K Brook versus Gennady Triple G Golovkin. This fight, to be fair, I did know the obstacles that Kell was going to overcome. I'm going to have to overcome, and I knew they were sizable. And to be honest, I didn't think Kell could overcome them, but it was what was happening in the fight that started to win me over. But anyway, starting with Kell Brook, he had a good come up, but he just kept getting injured when it came to world title time, and he kept having to push his mandatory back. Eventually, he got his mandatory, and he fought Sean Porter. Went to the US, put on a good performance, came out with a split decision, and came back with a belt. And then we thought, yes, Kell Brook's here. He's got the belt. He's going to fight the top welterweights now. Let's go. But not what happened. Instead, Kell went to Tenerife, got stabbed in the leg. There's some allegedly weird circumstances behind why he was stabbed. I don't know. The rumours haven't come out. I mean, not the rumours haven't come out. The full story hasn't come out, but there are definitely rumours circulating about what might have happened or led up to him being stabbed. But anyway, we'll move on from that. So we had to wait for him to recover from the stabbing. Then we were like, okay, you've just been stabbed in the leg. You've recovered. You can have a touch-up fight. So I think he fights Jojo Dan. We're like, okay, yeah, he's allowed a little touch-up fight. Now we're thinking, all right, Kell, you're here. Let's get these fights going. Instead, he fights Frankie Gavin. And we're like, Frankie Gavin, man. Yeah, British welterweight, but Frankie Gavin, he's not world level at all. I'm not even sure he's British. Yeah. I don't rate Frankie Gavin. But anyways, then we get Kevin Bezier. Well, who the hell? Like IBF mandatory, but who's this guy, man? Who's Kevin Bezier? Like, no one wants to see these fights. Like, Kell, come on, Kell. You're the world champion now. You're world title holder. Let's see the fights, Kell. Come on, like. Anyways, now I think even Kell's feeling the pressure from the fans. Like, we ain't trying to see Kevin Bezier, Jojo Dan, Frankie Gavin. Like, move on from them. Look. So we're hearing that he might be fighting some real fighters. He might be trying to get a Spence rematch. He might be trying to fight Amir Khan. He definitely wanted to fight Amir Khan. Anyway, Amir Khan weren't looking too active for the fight. He might be trying to fight people in his division, Keith Thurman, Like, we're thinking, okay, let's go. And not really getting any of these fights. And then we hear rumours that he might be fighting Golovkin. I'm like, what? So a bit of backstory on that. Khan, it looked like the Khan-Brook fight might happen, and then Khan just snaked Brook, went and fought Canelo at middleweight or 155 catchweight. And we're like, as soon as that fight gets announced, I think Kell's like, I need to do one better. Now, who's the biggest, baddest guy in the middleweight division? Canelo's gone. Who's the biggest, baddest? Triple G. Triple G is supposed to fight Eubank Jr. That fight falls through. Then we hear Triple G versus Kell Brook for the middleweight titles. I'm thinking, what? What have I just heard here? Triple G versus Kell Brook at middleweight for the middleweight title. Kell Brook's jumping 2 weights to go and fight Triple G. One of the hardest punching middleweights at the time. Fair play, Kell. Fair play, Kell. I know you're a big welter, but you're definitely not no middle. But anyways, so that fight gets announced. Kell moves up to middleweight. on all the check weights, all the pictures, he's still looking kind of shredded. So I'm thinking, I mean, he's probably going to get crushed, but like, let's see it. And to be fair, this fight, I did think Golovkin was going to win by stoppage. But when the fight started, Kell started to box Golovkin's ears off. Started like landing jabs, straight rights, and very straight. Kell's a very super accurate puncher. Very nice on the eye when he's at his best. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Landing uppercuts, and the uppercuts are springing Golovkin's head all the way back. And to be fair, I think Golovkin just fought the wrong tactics. They were the right tactics, but he employed them completely wrong. He just thought he was going to walk in there, walk through everything Kell has, steamroll him, and just get him out there. And Kell was a bit too skillful for that. So Golovkin, as he's just walking straight in, just getting pinged and ponged all around the ring. Head pushed back, head popping up. He was looking like, I don't know if you guys remember the Pez suite. A Pez suite, oh, you could Google it, but a Pez suite is a suite where it stacks up little sweets inside a container. And to get the sweet, you have to push up the container. And it looks like the head just springs up. And that's how Golovkin's head was looking when he was getting caught with uppercuts. His head was just springing up. I was like, okay, Kell. Round 1, round 2, he's really landing and getting to Golovkin. It doesn't really look like he's hurting him, but he's definitely pinging him. But when round 3 comes, he's starting to slow down now. I think Golovkin lands a big left hook on him. He's starting to slow down. Then round 4 comes around and it's just like, okay, Golovkin's getting to Kell now. Golovkin's grinding him down. Golovkin's finally the walking through tactic is working. And yeah, Golovkin just starts to pound Kell. Absolutely pound him. And to be fair to Kell, he tried his best not to quit, but his corner threw in the towel, and they took him out of there. And on this fight, I was more gutted for Kell this time. It didn't hit me as hard, but in the fight, I really did think that Kell was doing something in here. He's doing more than I thought he was going to do. He was doing something, but then, yeah, he got his eye socket smashed in, got his heart kind of broken, and yeah, Kell was never the same after that fight. He moved back down to welter to defend his belt against Errol Spence. Errol Spence crushed his other eye socket in, and to be honest, that was the last best Kell we saw. We never really saw a good Kell Brook after that. And it's just a shame. I wish he'd never have taken that fight, man, because he could have still been a force at welter, but money talks, and he went up for the money. Obviously, I hope he set his family up for life and all of that, and I hope it was worth it, because I potentially think there's more money in the long run if he stayed at welterweight and really dedicated himself to the sport. But we move. So, number 5 on our list, last but definitely by no means least, we have a fight where, again, for this one, I'll admit I missed the signs. I think I got a little bit caught up in the hype, and I was just disappointed. And you know what? It was actually a really close fight, to be fair. But yeah, I was just disappointed. It is Chris Eubank Jr. versus Billy Joe Saunders. So with this fight, Chris obviously named the same as his dad, Chris Eubank Sr., who was a legendary fighter at middle, super middle. I think he went all the way up to cruiser. He had his great fights with Nigel Benn, and his great fights with Michael Watson as well. And then Chris was coming up with a lot of hype. He's got his dad's name behind him, so he had name recognition. Everybody sort of knew him, and he was getting a lot of easy touchovers. He had a very limited amateur career, getting a lot of knockovers, but looking good in the knockovers. And he had a very nonchalant style. He was trying to be like his dad in the ring. He'd be very nonchalant to interviewers. He'd act like he doesn't care about what anyone thinks. Very arrogant. And I sort of liked it, to be honest. I liked him on the come up, and I was like, yeah, I'm behind this guy. I want this guy to do something. I want this guy to go somewhere. He's a personality in boxing, and in boxing we need personalities. So I was really behind him. And I was like, yeah, let's go, Chris. You can do something here. You can really do something. And then he finally gets his big step up. And it's not a small step up by any means. He's fighting another guy in the middleweight division called Billy Joe. And Billy Joe, he'd gone up to traditional way. He was a good amateur. He went to the Olympics as well, but I think he messed up by not following the Team GP rules, and they sent him home before he could fight. Or maybe he did fight, actually. I think he did fight, and anyway, he didn't do anything in the Olympics, but he was a good amateur, and he was also a good pro. On his way up, he went through the traditional route of British title, European title, Commonwealth title. He fought good level of, he was getting good step ups all along the way. He fought John Ryder. He fought who was a good fighter, and John Ryder's gone on. I thought he beat Callum Smith, so he should be a world titleist in my opinion. And John Ryder's a very good fighter, and I think he might even get another shot at a world title coming up very soon. He fought Gary O'Sullivan. Gary O'Sullivan was a very good step up fight when he fought him. Gary O'Sullivan, a tough guy. That's really about it, but a tough guy all the same. And he fought Nick Blackwell. Nick Blackwell was another British rival. Another tough guy as well, and there was a decent level, step ups. You fight one after the other, and you're stepping up every time. And Billy Joe, he was doing the right way in boxing, the right route. Whereas Chris Eubank had pretty much fought nobody. There's no one on Chris Eubank's record before the Billy Joe fight that's really worth really talking about. And then he's just gone straight into the Billy Joe fight. And we're thinking, whoa, like Chris, this is a big step up. But I was ignoring all of that. I was just like, you know what, Chris has been getting knockouts and he's knocking people over. I think Chris is going to go in there and he's going to do the job on Billy. And we've been hearing all these stories about Chris in sparring. Apparently he's smashing up sparring partners and ruining sparring partners. So I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to ignore all the writing on the paper, all the writing on the wall. I'm going to ignore all of that. And I'm going to pick Chris Eubank Jr. to go in there and beat up Billy Joe. And I remember this fight. I was kind of gutted about this fight because I wasn't in the UK for the fight. And this fight was on the Tyson Fury Derek Chisora 2 undercard. But it ended up stealing the show because that fight was a bit of a dud, Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora 2. But yeah, I wasn't in the UK, so I was like, I'm not going to be able to watch this fight. But luckily for me, I was actually in the US, and where I was, someone had ESPN. I didn't even know it would be on the ESPN. Randomly on the ESPN, I see Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora 2. I'm like, this can't be right. So I click on it, and it's the whole card is on there. I'm like, what? I have lucked out here. And then I was actually with one of my boys. I don't know if he's going to watch the video, but Luke, shout out to you. I remember me and you watching that fight, and yeah, the Billy Joe, Chris Eubank come on. I'm explaining to Luke like, who these two guys are, sort of the build up, and then I'm trying to persuade him that Chris is going to win as well. I'm ignoring it again. I'm ignoring everything that Billy Joe's done, ignoring the fact that he's a more experienced fighter. He's got a better amateur record. He's gone traditional route. He's fought harder fights. He's fought a 12-round fight before. I'm ignoring all of that and saying, yeah, Chris has got this. Like, Chris been knocking guys out. He's got this. And the fight starts, and this is why you need to be brought up in boxing properly. You need to have experience. You need to go the rounds, because it looked like to me in the early rounds, Billy Joe was just boxing Chris Eubank, just boxing him and just outboxing him in the early rounds, first half of the fight. And I think this because Chris was trying to conserve energy because he'd never been 12 rounds before, so he didn't really know how his body would feel. So he's not really letting any shots go in the early rounds because he's thinking, I need to save energy for the late rounds. In the late rounds, he has energy. And he starts to stick it on Billy Joe. And Billy Joe's, he's definitely getting pressured. Billy Joe's trying to fight back, but Chris is getting the better of the action. Goes down to either a split or majority decision, but it falls for Billy Joe. And it's simply, well, not simply, but to me it was because Chris had never been 12 rounds before. He didn't have the experience, and he'd messed up the fight. He'd messed up his pacing. Billy Joe takes a razor decision, but to be honest, looking at it in an unbiased view, and Billy Joe Billy Joe was a favourite to win, and Billy Joe should have really won that fight, and he did win it. And that's who I should have picked, because Billy Joe had a better experience. Billy Joe had fought the better fighters. Billy Joe had been 12 rounds before a few times, so I should have picked Billy Joe. And yeah, man, I was a bit annoyed and gutted after the fight because I wanted Chris to win, and I just bigged him up to my boy I was watching a fight with, and he didn't win. But, that's how it goes in boxing. That's how it goes. And from these 5 fights, I've learned that, look at the advantages a fighter has. Height and reach, number 1 advantage. Experience, number 2 advantage. Have they done 12 rounds before, or the rounds that the fight set before? Number 3 advantage. Weight, number 4 advantage. Like, you've got to take these things into consideration when you're picking fights. And don't pick with your heart, as much as it might hurt. You have to pick with your head. Even if you don't like the fight you're picking, you have to pick with your head. And As you can see on this channel, I've started to employ that tactic. And the Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois fight, I could have been very easily tempted to pick Daniel Dubois because I'm seeing knockouts, I'm seeing he's on the hype train, in fact, everyone's pushing him. But I went back to these 4 things I've just said, and Joe Joyce, more experience. Joe Joyce, bigger guy. Heavyweight, it's not as relevant, but bigger guy. Joe Joyce done the rounds before, and Joe Joyce, the better amateur record, Olympic silver medalist, and Joe Joyce won the fight off a jab. So you know, sometimes, well, not even sometimes, I think always, you just got to look and pick using the fundamentals and pick using your head and not your heart. But anyways, guys, that's the video. I'm going to put links in the description box to the fights so you can go back and watch them. And guys, like, let me know if there are any other fights in the comment sections that you picked somebody based off your heart and really and truly you thought, or not even you thought, they did lose and they should have lost if you'd have picked to your head. Let me know. I know it hurts to think back to those times, but let me know, man. I want to see if I've missed any that I thought the same, or I want to know other fights and see if I would have picked the same way as you guys. But thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.